So it's Mario here from Lake Eildon Rowing Club, and I thought I'd just start telling the story of how Lake Eildon Rowing Club began. This whole idea that is being turned into reality. And but by first I would visit the this beautiful site, the peak of this summit, this mountain. So every time you walk to a summit, you get inspiration. There's something about it, overcoming the effort, that it takes, the challenges that it takes to get to the top. There's a great view you get from the top, which rewards the effort, that you put in. And that's always a special moment, I reckon. Over there they built some bloody windmills. You probably can't even see them, but it's a great view from the top. And there's Rocky. And yeah, sometimes you see eagles up here, and it's quite spectacular. And the Golden River is sort of behind that set of mountains, and it sort of goes around there and sort of behind there. And I think you might even go this way. So the story of the Lake Eildon Rowing Club, how it all began. Well, as you all experienced COVID in 2020, it was something that was very unique in our lives. It was a pivotal moment in everyone's life. And I think a lot of people asked themselves, where do you want to be living? They sort of looked at where they were and they thought, I'm not sure I like living in suburbs. I had a neighbour, and his name was Jerry, and he was 79 years old, and he'd been my neighbour for, 10 years, something like that. And I'd been to his house maybe half a dozen times, and I kept saying I was going to have a barbecue and invite him over, and we'd share a meal together and stuff. He was a funny man. He used to be a principal at a primary school, and he had 3 kids, and he had a wife, and Nolene was her name. And then one day he went to pick up his paper, and he slipped on the pavement and cracked his head and died, basically. And I felt so bad that I hadn't spent any time with Jerry, and I'd promised him this barbecue. And what made me feel even worse is that his widow invited me to his funeral. And so I went along, and I thought, what is this life? You don't even get to spend time with your neighbours. So I don't know what the feeling for a lot of people is that, they drive out in the morning, they do work somewhere, and then they come back in the evening. Most of the day's been spent somewhere else other than their home, and home is just a place to go to sleep. And actually there's more work to be done there too. So I had 2 young boys. They weren't that young anymore. One was finishing VCE, and he was turning 18, and the other one was 20 years old. So they're both boys, and my boys just, they were taking advantage, I think, of the situation at the time, leaving their shit everywhere and all that sort of thing. Do I really want to live here and continue to be doing this? was a question. And what would I be doing with my time? That was the other question. If I really was doing what I loved, And and there was in there my love for rowing. It's been there all my life. I started rowing when I was 9 years old back in Chile. Say hello to all my friends from Chile. Chile, in Jacolén, in a town called San Peter. And it was on my bike. It used to take me 20 minutes from my house, and I would be at the rowing club. And then we had a huge lake that was, well, not huge, it was 1,800 meters long, 1,800 meters long, and probably 1,000 meters wide at one point. And it was a beautiful place to row. And I learned to row in that lake as a kid, and I spent hours and hours and hours on the river, on the lake, and rowing and swimming and hanging out with my friends. And in Chile, the experience of rowing is available to whoever wants to join a club. So you can join clubs in even as a 9-year-old. So I rowed in the under 12s, and it's something that we don't have here, but it's there in Europe and other places. I mean in Australia. So we had under 12s, and we had under 14s, and then it goes under 16s, and every 2 years you move up. And I learned to row as a 9-year-old in this place. And my father was a rower, and he was the one who encouraged me. And when I was 9, I was learning the piano, and he said, well, you can keep learning the piano, or you can start rowing, or you can do both. And I thought, well, I think I'll just go rowing. And every weekend for years and years, I would go either catch the bus when I was a kid, or ride my bike. So I was never given a lift. It was basically you take care of yourself, and even as a 9-year-old I could do that. So basically it became the love of my life. It's the one thing that's been there constant. We moved countries. We went from Chile to Australia, and I was 16 years old, and I was a little bit depressed, sitting down at home, just going, what the hell, what have I done? What have we done? Getting used to all the changes you experience, learning a new language, meeting new friends, changing homes, everything. But the one constant was rowing. And so I quickly found out where the rowing clubs were, and it just so happened that year, Peter Anthony, this guy who is an amazing rower, sculler, had won the lightweight singles at the 1986 World Championships. That was in Nottingham. And I sort of read the article showing Peter Anthony, as he was getting towards the final. There was a semi-final win, and there was this picture of him on the Herald Sun, and he was, he just looked like he was giving it all. And that was just an awesome picture. And then I sort of went looking for him. I thought, I got to meet this guy. And I went to Melbourne University in September, I think, of not long after the World Championships had ended. I think 2 weeks later, I was over there. I said, I want to meet the world champion. I said, he'll be here soon. Somebody said that guy was Simon Gillett. I met Simon Gillett, was a coach at that time at Melbourne University, but he'd been a famous rower for a long, long time. He was in a picture at my old rowing club back in Chile. We had pictures on the wall of famous rowers, and I had a picture of the Australian four that had won a gold medal at the World Championships. I think it was in Hazelwinkle, 1981 or something like that. I think it might have been Hazelwinkle. It was 81 or 82 they won, or it could have been even later, but I think it was 81, 82. And Simon Gillett was the stroke of that crew. So he was a gun rower, and just meeting him was amazing. And then I met Peter Anthony, and I said to him, look, I come from Chile. I'm very good. and I want you to coach me, I said to him. And he sort of looked at me like, all right, no worries. Yeah, he said, to his credit. And then we got a boat out, the John Hunt, which was a wooden boat that was basically on its last legs. And that was where I started my rowing here at Melbourne Uni. And but very soon found out I was slow as anything. You know, I was using my arms, my upper body. I was trying to rate rather than row long, you know. And so I had to relearn a lot of my technique, and Peter Anthony sort of would show me a few things, but leave it a lot up to myself. Just think about it, you know. And so you go out and you just think about it, you know, how you're going to move the boat. And gradually things got better and better until more relaxed. And in 1990 I went to the World Championships. And that's another funny story which I'll leave for another day. But that's basically the first part of the story is a little bit knowing about the background of my own background. And where I'm going with this is that we're creating history, you know. The Lake Eildon Rowing Club hopefully will be there for 100 years or more. And so we have to have a 100-year plan for this thing. And I want to inspire as many people as possible to get behind the club. And if you've got your own ideas and you want to start your own club somewhere, then I hope this inspires you to do the same, because rowing belongs to everyone. And like I said, in Chile, you know, you could be a 9-year-old growing up in a middle income household, and you could join a club and be taught how to row, and have the access to the benefits that this sport brings to young people and can bring to young people. You know, what are the benefits of, you know, looking after your health, looking after your body, and what sort of person develops that looks after themselves and takes care of their body, you know. And one of the things you find in rowing too is this beautiful rhythm that you have to get into, and that you can do in this beautiful body of water. And you can be out there for an hour just completely switched off, you know, mentally, just fully focused on what you're doing. It's called mindfulness meditation, okay? And people are paying thousands of dollars to go to another country to have a retreat to experience mindfulness, but you can have it rowing, you know. And so it's a form of meditation. It's a form of moving meditation, because it is such a technical sport, and there's so much of your feeling that has to be switched on in order to actually row properly, you know, have a proper experience. And so it can be enjoyed at all ages. You know, we just had news of the death of a famous Olympian who was 93 years old. He was our oldest Olympian. And he rowed at the 1956 Olympics in Melbourne and won a bronze medal. And he was 93, and he was still engaged in the rowing community. So there's just amazing benefits from rowing, and one of those benefits is belonging to a community around the world that is fantastic. They're accommodating, they're welcoming. You can go anywhere in the world, and say you're a rower, and somebody will hook you up with a rower, and you'll go rowing. And that is something that's, I don't know if you can do the same thing with bike riding. I guess you could bike ride anywhere, but rowing is a little bit different, because you need the equipment, you need the boats, you need the oars, and you need some other crazy guy who's prepared to be getting up early, you know, and be on the water at 5:30 in the morning, sort of thing. So anyway, I'll leave it at that, because I don't want to bore anyone else. And but there'll be more of these videos, just detailing the history of the Lake Eildon Rowing Club as we continue to grow into this next phase, where we actually have some crews on the water racing. And we've got a raffle right now. I'll put the link on thing below in the comments, and basically all you have to do is click on that link and go and buy a raffle ticket or 2 or 3 so that you can win a Concept 2 rowing machine to the value of $1,700. And a rowing machine can make a huge difference to your training, can make a huge difference to your weight loss efforts. Okay, and I'm going to show you pictures of how my gut is basically gone down since I've started doing half an hour. And very soon it's half an hour every day on the rowing machine, and very soon it's going to be turned into a 6-pack from the 1-pack that I've got right now. But yes, rowing on the rowing machine is an amazing thing, that almost as good as being on the water if you know what you're doing. Okay, it's easy to row a rowing machine badly and make your technique worse, but it's very also easy to focus on technique and not so much on the numbers, and that way you're not going to compromise your muscle memory, because your body knows what to do. Okay, that's enough from me. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. Okay, and buying those raffle tickets so we can insure our boats, and so that we can also build a structure for them to house them, and so we can continue with our rowing efforts in the Murrindindi Shire and the Mitchell Shire. Goodbye. Thank you.